Hello and welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. We're going to start with a piece of breaking news, which is a written statement that has been put out by Sheikh Hasina, the exiled former Prime Minister of Bangladesh. It's the first statement that she has made, and she has put it out calling for peace in Bangladesh and justice for all those who've been killed in the violence after her exit. She has hit out at the protesters for vandalizing the statue of her late father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, calling it an insult to the martyrs of 1971. Remember, the statement has been put out just a couple of days before 15th of August. Remember, back on 15th of August 1975 is when Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was assassinated by Bangladeshi army personnel way back in 1975. In this written statement, the first public statement that Sheikh Hasina has issued since she was ousted from power and she had to flee to New Delhi, she has also appealed to the people of Bangladesh to observe a national day of mourning on the 15th of August to commemorate the assassination of her father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the founder of modern-day Bangladesh. Siddhant has more details on this. Siddhant, so the first public statement by the exiled former Prime Minister saying that how the legacy of her father and his contribution to the founding of modern-day Bangladesh cannot be vandalized like this.
Absolutely, Zaka. This is perhaps the first real statement of Sheikh Hasina to any media group, and this has been brought to us by editor Manoj Gupta. And in fact, as you rightly pointed out, Zaka, she in fact spoke at length about the sacrifices that her family has made to build Bangladesh. In fact, she also went on to request people, to remember the martyrs on August 15th and to pay respects to them. In fact, Zaka, if you would like to remind you that in fact these days it's quite being debated that this time around whether people of Bangladesh will remember the martyrs on August 15th. Will the anniversary be organized? So on that, Sheikh Hasina has responded. In fact, she also did speak about the sacrifices her family members have made and the way her family members have lost lives. In fact, she also spoke about the fresh vandalism which took place. She says that students, teachers, police, even internal women police, journalists and others affiliated died as a victim of terrorist attack, and I'm condoling and praying for their soul. So it's a long statement that she has given to CNN News 18, and in the end she says that may Allah Almighty bless the people of Bangladesh and God Hafiz, Joy Bangla Joy, Bangla Bandhu, Sheikh Hasina. So first long statement she has issued for CNN News 18, and at length she has spoken about her family's sacrifice, what she has done for the country, especially the kind of violence that country has witnessed, and also asked his followers to pay respects to the martyrs on August 15th.
All right, so that we'll leave it at that. We'll see how this plays out. Like I said, this is the first official statement that's been put out by Sheikh Hasina just ahead of 15th August. Remember, 15th August 1975 was when Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was assassinated. She's, of course, appealing to the people of Bangladesh to honor that martyr, honor that sacrifice on that day as a day of national mourning. Meanwhile, talking about national mourning, well, the horrific Kolkata rape and murder of a junior doctor has now been handed over to the CBI. The Calcutta High Court today came down heavily on the state government as well as the college authorities, saying that no significant progress has been made even after 5 days. And since there is every possibility that the evidence may be destroyed, therefore the case must be handed over to the CBI. It was particularly harsh on the former principal of the RG Kar Medical College and Hospital, saying that he had no business to be jumping to conclusions and that he did not play a proactive role in trying to find out what exactly happened to this young victim. The TMC government has welcomed the decision of the Calcutta High Court to give the matter to the CBI. At the same time, it has defended Bengal's record when it comes to women's safety. But the protesting doctors, not just in Kolkata, but in Delhi, in Mumbai, they are still not satisfied. They want the central government and the parliament to pass the Protection of Medical Personnel Bill, which has been hanging fire for a few years now. The moot point in that bill is central protection, Central Forces protection to doctors at their workplaces, particularly in government hospitals and medical colleges. But first, the story so far.
We welcome the decision of CBI, but अभी तक हम लोग का जो डिमांड है, that demand and the strike will still continue.
वेस्ट बंगाल की सरकार ने इस केस को हशप करने की कोशिश की, दबाने की कोशिश की और जनता के आंखों में धूल झोंकने की कोशिश की। मैं इसकी भी कड़े शब्दों में निंदा करता हूं।
कोर्ट मॉनिटरिंग सीबीआई हुई डिमांड, विक्टिम का फैमिली भी आया, बहुत अच्छा रिजल्ट आया। नाउ वी डिमांड हेल्थ मिनिस्टर एज वेल एज चीफ मिनिस्टर शुड रिजाइन फ्रॉम हर पोस्ट।
এরকম একটা কেন্দ্রীয় ইনভেস্টিগেটিং সংস্থা তারা আদৌ কতটা কি করতে পারবে সেটা নিয়ে আমরা সন্দিহান। আমরা বিশ্বাস করি আমাদের এই রাজ্য প্রশাসনই এই তদন্ত দ্রুততার সাথে শেষ করে
All right, let's open this up to our panelists. Sanju Verma is National Spokesperson of the BJP. Dr. Riju Datta is Spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. Shikha Mukherjee, senior journalist, also joining us. Dr. Riju Datta, this is what the High Court today said as it handed over the case to the CBI, that the medical college initially ruled it as suicide. The principal blamed the victim, alleged psychosis. There was a flip-flop by the college in the details given to the parents. The first call that was made to the parents, the assistant super said that the victim had committed suicide. No significant progress has been made in the investigation even after 5 days. There is every possibility that the evidence will be destroyed. It is disheartening to note that the principal and the college authorities were not proactive. I mean, is this acceptable, Dr. Riju Datta, in this day and age, after the brutal, horrific crime that this young doctor was subject to, that the government, the college authorities did not show the alacrity to try and get to the bottom of this as quickly as possible? On the contrary, from whatever we know, at least in the first 24 hours, the college authorities tried to underplay this whole case.
Zakha, let me be very blunt and very upfront. This is a heinous crime, a rarest of the rarest crime that has been committed in a government medical college in Kolkata, West Bengal. But yes, I agree with you, there was lacuna and there was misinformation that was fed by the college authorities, and as a result, the MSVP, medical superintendent cum vice principal, the principal, the head of the department, the ACP of the local jurisdiction, along with the assistant super, everyone was removed from that college. Secondly, from day one, we only wanted two things: justice for the victim and the victim's family, and exemplary punishment to the culprits. From day one, Mamata Banerjee, after speaking to the parents of the victim, has clearly stated that if the parents of the victims want, I can give this case to an independent agency. The case happened. There was no laxity by the Calcutta police. It was investigated directly by the Commissioner of Police. The prime accused was arrested within 24 hours, and it is an ongoing investigation. And now, yesterday, after the CM spoke to the family members, she gave a deadline to Calcutta police for 7 days till Sunday. But today, the Honorable High Court, in all its wisdom, has given the case to CBI. So we welcome the judgment. But again, I will say there was no laxity in the investigation. There was no evidence tampering. There was no sort of allegations that has been floated by the BJP or the opposition parties or by through WhatsApp channels. There is no factual evidence or database, to back that up.
So let me ask Sanju Verma
that now that CBI is taking, CBI will do justice.
The police, Riju Datta and the TMC's contention is they did their job. Yes, there was laxity on the part of the college authorities. The principal was shunted out. The assistant super has been removed from his job. The others who are there initially trying to cover up this crime, they've all been removed. And within 24 hours, the main accused was nabbed as well. And the Chief Minister yesterday, after she met the victim's family, said, we are willing and open to give this to the CBI within 7 days if other accomplices are not arrested.
Zaka, first and foremost, my heartfelt condolences to the parents of the young 31-year-old woman who was brutally raped, murdered, and 31 is no age to be gone. Having said that, much as we would not like to politicize this, your audience needs to hear some hard facts. For me, what stood out in the condemnation and castigation of the TMC regime, of the Mamata Banerjee regime by the Kolkata High Court was this sentence, where the Kolkata High Court said, we have grave doubts about the sufficiency of the ongoing probe. Grave doubts about the sufficiency of the ongoing probe is as bad as it gets when it comes to calling out the bluff of Mamata Banerjee, when it comes to showing her the mirror, when it comes to telling her that you have been incompetent, you are not just the chief minister, you are the home minister of West Bengal. Law and order has taken a flying leap out of the window under your incompetent watch. But very quickly, I will say this. I've been on a couple of debates in the last 48 hours on this issue. What stands out is that every junior doctor or intern or somebody who's been associated with the R.G. Kar Medical College and who's been on the panel with me has clearly said two things. We don't trust Mamata Banerjee or the TMC regime. And the second point that they've made is we don't trust the Kolkata police. In fact, I was not aware about this, but I just found out that this man, Sanjay Roy, one of the accused, because now there is news coming in that there could be more than one person involved. Apparently, Sanjay Roy was wearing a police uniform and had police insignia on his uniform. And this young woman went between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. to the seminar room. And she asked him for help, thinking he's part of the police and security constabulary that is supposed to protect these young interns and doctors and trainees. And imagine, she was raped by somebody who was masquerading to be a part of Kolkata's police dispensation. It could not get any more gruesome than this.
My understanding is that he was a civic police volunteer. I don't know if he was wearing police uniform or not. Riju Datta can clarify on that. And my information is also there are over 1 lakh such civic police volunteers, not just in Bengal. Other states have that as well.
Yes,
they're
there
in UP, Bengal.
Can I just finish in 10 seconds?
Yeah, 10 seconds. Okay.
Kaka, the limited point is this. That, the Kolkata High Court has also raised objections to two very, disturbing things. A, Sandeep Ghosh, first the principal of R.G. Kar Medical, he first dismissed this gruesome rape and murder as suicide. Point number two, the father of the girl is on record saying that he was misinformed and said, ye to suicide hai. And the third point, which, Vikram Singh can corroborate, in a heinous crime like this, you have to collect the vaginal swabs, and the only way a thorough investigation can happen is if the scene of the crime is not compromised. What was happening for the last 7 days? Thank God the media built pressure. And the most disturbing fact is this. Sandeep Ghosh was reinstated as the principal of the Kolkata National Medical College in 12 hours of this gruesome incident. That is absolutely unacceptable.
In fact, I want Riju Datta to respond to that before I go to Vikram Singh and to Shikha Mukherjee. Even the court has noted, Riju Datta, that the college authorities showed unnatural haste in ensuring that a case of unnatural death was registered in the absence of a complaint. Why didn't the principal of the college immediately lodge a complaint? It is disheartening to note that the college authorities and the principal were not proactive. There was a serious lapse by the college principal, giving room for suspicion. He has been made principal of another government college, and that too in a matter of hours. What was the tearing urgency? Please explain.
I will answer all your questions and all the pertinent points raised by the BJP spokesperson. But the problem is BJP is suffering from a very serious disease, a disease of WhatsApp University.
Please don't talk about BJP's disease
half
today.
Truths.
You should be
I'm giving. Can I please?
You've asked him a question. Let him respond, please.
I did not.
You've asked him a question. Let him
Don't
respond.
talk about BJP.
Stick to the issue, Riju Datta. Please stick to the question you've been asked. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, please.
The amount of information, and I'm telling you this, the amount of information,
please.
My goodness,
Riju Datta, please answer the question.
The amount of information that, I'm answering the question one by one, give me the courtesy of time. The amount of information that BJP and their spokesperson have, the Police does not have it. Trinamool Congress does not have it. Nobody in the world has it. So CBI should start by
What kind of a
investigation
juvenile argument is that,
by
Saka?
bringing all the BJP leaders into the
Regis,
inquiry.
stop
No, once
engaging
again,
in
because
what
you are
about
peddling
the-
lies on national
Stop
TV.
Ma'am,
engaging-
see, we can't do a debate this way. No, one second. I'm going to go one by one. Riju Datta, please answer the question.
Can I come in?
Who is this Sandeep Ghosh and how is it
Thank you.
that
How-
after all this, within 6 hours, he loses one job, he's forced to resign from one job. Within 6 hours, he's made principal of another college. How? Why is he so powerful?
Exactly. I will answer. I wanted to answer that. He is not powerful and I am not here to defend anybody. The comment that he made, the principal made a comment that, it is a suicide or the girls should not roam around. These are all fake. There is no factual data to support this. Point number one. Point number two, the junior doctors or the resident doctors who are sitting in Dharna, they made some demands to the state government and to the commissioner of police that we want these authorities to be removed. And he was removed. But he was removed from one place and transferred somewhere else. But the Honorable Calcutta High Court has observed that cannot happen and send him already on extended leave. Point number two. Point number three, this Sandeep Rai, who's the primary accused here, where the BJP national spokesperson on national TV says that he wears a police insignia or police uniform is absolutely false. Yes, he's a civic
It is not
volunteer.
false.
Yes, he
This
should
is
not
what
be
has been
present there.
reported in
It is
vernacular media
absolute-
in Bengal.
One second.
Let
Let him finish.
You are the one who's
He's a
lying.
civic police volunteer.
You are
What
the
he
one
was
who's
wearing
lying.
on the night of, we don't know. Yeah.
Yes.
Can I now come in, Zaka, because
Again,
he's had
I'm
two
giving
big
you the
rebuttals.
facts and I'm going to... the national spokesperson of the BJP saying somebody wearing police uniform and police insignia...
Zaka, he cannot have a free run on your show.
Ma'am, one second, ma'am. You've asked him the question. Let him answer the
Can I
question, then I'll
finish?
come back to you,
Zaka,
please.
what is
that?
Have a little
What
patience,
about
please.
it?
Again, look, I hate to do this, but I have to go one by one. Riju Datta, please explain, was this man wearing police uniform when this crime happened or not? And two, this civic police volunteer,
No, let him lie.
how did he have
No
access
police
to the
insignia,
welfare
but-
board? How did he have access to all parts of the
Yes,
college?
yes.
How is it that the CCTV in that one floor alone is not
coming to
working?
that. I'm coming to everything. All the questions, pertinent questions you have asked. Number one, he is not a member of Police Welfare Board because he is a civic volunteer. To become a member of the Police Welfare Board, you have to be a minimal of a constable rank. So he is not a member. But yes, he was associated with police welfare. Point number one. Because he was asked to go around everywhere, check on all the police staff that is admitted in hospitals. Number two, yes, you are right. He has no business to be in that part of the hospital at that time of the night. No business. Number three, he was not wearing police uniform because they don't get police uniform. No point of police insignia. He was using a motorbike, which the Honorable ex-DGP can say. And the motorbike was used by is actually allocated to an SI of a police station. Normally in police station, the DGP sir is here, where sometimes people ask for bikes and the keys are given if somebody is a staff in a police station. But if he goes and commits another crime, that is on him.
So
and
no,
yes, you are right.
I do
He has
want to.
done a heinous
I
crime in
have
Japan.
the fact file on this man Sanjay Roy, who is the main accused, who has been now arrested. Vikram Singh, he is a civic volunteer with the police. He has worked with the Police Welfare Board. He was on duty that night outside the trauma care center of RG Kar Medical College and Hospital as a police volunteer. The college authorities are still not explaining how he had access to all hospital departments. Usually, my understanding is police volunteers have limited access to where they can go inside a hospital and where they cannot. There was a history of misconduct against women. There were other women doctors and interns who had complained against this man in the past. The college authorities did nothing. There were also allegations of corruption, bribery against this man in the past, and again, the college authorities turned a blind eye. So I want to ask, how and what makes this man so powerful that he was able to get away with it until this gruesome crime happened this past weekend? Who was backing him politically?
Good evening, Zaka, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is not rocket science. May I submit with the greatest of respect that such people, he was sporting a KP, Kolkata Police badge on his t-shirt and a KP, Calcutta Police monogram on his two-wheeler. Whether it belonged to the sub-inspector or otherwise, he was camouflaging his identity as being a part of the Kolkata Police. Now,
Exactly.
too little coming too late. No action against the college administration, and to double up this gruesome murder as a suicide and to give compensation, I really don't know by what stretch of imagination can there be a compensation. Madam Sanju Verma has merit in what she has said, that the scene of crime has to be safeguarded and the vaginal swab is of utmost importance. If that is compromised, the investigation is compromised. Well, yes, we are supposed to be absolutely objective and base our observation on facts and not on WhatsApp. But what the solemn observations of the High Court are by no stretch of imagination are they from WhatsApp University. These are serious indictment and castigation of the administration of Kolkata police and also the Home Ministry. But coming to the basics now, there have been horrible fault lines in the investigation. Number one, when you got the Bluetooth headphones next to the body of the victim, then you had the bloodstained shoes of the person, Sanjay Roy. Then he is addicted to drugs and pornographic and visits red light area. Is there any other evidence that is required? And such a pervert, if he has free access into a girls' hostel, to a medical college, there are repeated complaints, and I choose not to take action, then there are only two reasons, Zaka. One, that I'm a wheeler dealer par excellence, I buy my way out, or I have a political patronage, or both. Under these circumstances, not to take action and to look the other way is also to be a willing accessory to the crime. And therefore, I salute the judgment of the Honorable High Court when they said that the action should have been taken and it was not taken. Here is what the problem lies. And to say that the investigation would have been given in any case, but it was the High Court that transferred the investigation, not the government.
I also want to bring in Shikha Mukherjee, and this is what the postmortem report says. This is the final postmortem report that has come out today. A preliminary report had come the day after the crime happened. Shikha Mukherjee, this is what the postmortem says, that the victim was bleeding from both her eyes. She had injuries on her face. There was blood oozing out of her mouth. She was bleeding from her private parts. There were injuries on her belly and her left leg. Her neck was broken and she had injuries on the right hand. Now, how can doctors, in this case a college principal, an assistant superintendent, how can they come to a conclusion that this was a suicide? I mean, you something is fishy here. And the first call that was made by the assistant super to the father of the victim said, "Aapki beti ne suicide collect her."
It is the worst kind of ham-handed cover-up from any interested in is trying to go into denial. The fact is that because they have gone into denial, the court has slammed them and answered correctly. In of any institution should have ignored the fact that this man was a nuisance, a problem, and there were complaints against him. Instead of acting proactively, this denial is on two accounts, and I entirely agree with him. It's either that this guy has clout, political clout of some kind, and he knows that he can get away with it. The fact is that there may be people elsewhere where people are vulnerable. It doesn't matter whether it is a woman or a man who is vulnerable, or even children. The fact is that the state government needs to take a hard look and figure out whether there are other down within the institutions over which it has control. It just needs to clean it up.
Do you believe he was able to get away with this for so long because he had some kind of political patronage?
That is what has been alleged. Now, that is something that we will have to figure out for ourselves as journalists. What was the nature of the he enjoyed? What was his clout? Where did he derive his kind of immunity from? But it is also true the government now has a responsibility to verify how other such institutions are being run and whether there are such complaints, whether there are problems. They need to have a about the
The main demand of the protesting doctors, and the protests are continuing tomorrow and day after, I believe, on the eve of Independence Day, they are planning a massive candlelight vigil in Kolkata. The main one was they have been saying from day one that they are convinced that there are more suspects involved because of the nature of the injuries that the victim has suffered. But the most important thing that they're asking for, and this is doctors outside of Kolkata as well, is that they want the Central Protection Act for doctors, which was brought by the BJP government, unfortunately, I think 2022. They want this bill to be passed by the Parliament of India so that there is Central Protection for doctors who are working in government medical colleges and hospitals.
You know, Zaka, I have to say one thing. Let's not lose sight of the woods for the trees, not Riju. But, you know, I have been with some other TMC, panelists, those who support the government, if not officially, unofficial spokespersons. And one of them had the audacity to say, ye to kahin bhi ho sakta tha. This could have happened anywhere. Hypothetically assuming this could have happened anywhere, my limited point is this, you know, taking off from what Shikha Mukherjee said and Vikram Singh said, there is an element of political patronage which cannot be denied. There is an element of providing protection to a pervert like Sanjay Roy, because his history has been far from flattering. He was still allowed to go into premises where he had no business to go. Point number 3, I always say that the key culprit is actually the mindset. And the mindset is what is bothersome here and is dreadful actually, because after Sandesh Khali, I remember it took 58 long days for Shah Jahan Sheikh to be arrested. And even after that, you know, I'm taking onus for this. I'm sticking my neck out and saying, the likes of Mahua Moitra have said, 2,000 rupees each was given to these Sandesh Khali women to besmirch the reputation of Mamta Banerjee. When you have that kind of a mindset, after the Hansa Khali gang rape, Mamta Banerjee said, oh, it a rape chilo, na it a love affair chilo, or was the girl pregnant, made a pregnant chilo. Basically, she tried victim shaming. When the chief minister and a woman chief minister engages in victim shaming, this is the end result. And I hope Mamta Banerjee now wakes up and smells the coffee. And Zaka, one important point, you're very right. Mansukh Mandavia introduced, the Central Protection Act and Violence Against Doctors Bill in 2019, 2021, 2022. And each time it could not be passed, but I'm very sure that now, if there is one good outcome that will come, I'm sorry to use this phrase, it is that we need doctors to be covered under the aegis of the Central Protection Act, so that at least such incidents can be reined in. But my simple point is this, Mamta Banerjee resigned. Istifa do Mamta Banerjee, you're incompetent.
So,
you have failed as the chief
Riju Datta, the point is, it is obvious as daylight that the college authorities are in a rush to deny the gravity of this crime, to and the media started reporting. That's when they had to backtrack. Today, the court has come down like a ton of bricks on the college authorities. Why? What was the pressing hurry to register a case of unnatural death in the absence of a complaint? Why didn't the principal of the college just complain immediately upon news of the grave injuries that were caused to the victim? And the most important question, you still have not answered it. How and why is Sandeep Ghosh, the former principal of this college, so powerful that within 5 hours or 6 hours of him resigning from his post as principal of RG Kar, he is appointed in the National Medical College in the same post?
He's not powerful. He's been sent on extended leave by Calcutta High Court. And see, the students demanded his removal. We removed him from one college, sent him to the other. But it has been blown out of proportion, unfortunate. But I will rise above politics and make a pertinent point here, Zaka. And I'm not going to be insensitive here. Rape, like Sanjuji said, is a mindset and a social disease. It can happen in Bengal. Yesterday it has happened to a final year engineering student in a moving car in Agra. It has happened to two women in Odisha by a doctor in SCB Medical College, which is a BJP ruled state. So it is a crime that keeps on happening. It will only stop if we instill fears in criminals.
You talk about Bengal
when we are
now.
talking about passing bills in the parliament, can I please, madam?
No, if you talk
Can I
about
please?
Odisha, I will remind you about Bengal.
Okay.
Don't engage in what about
Can I please?
Okay,
Then I will remind you of
he was
Manipur
making
and
a
Narendra Modi
point.
should
He was
hold
making a
his
point
ear
that
down
rape
on
can happen
Bengal.
anywhere. Anyway, yeah,
When
Riju.
will Mamata Banerjee
Yeah,
resign?
Can I finish?
Riju, yeah.
Zaka, why can't you control? Why can't you control her?
No,
I do
no.
not understand.
I
do not
don't
include
believe
anybody.
I don't believe in pulling down faders. But go ahead, one at a time. Yeah, Riju.
When we are talking about passing bills in the parliament, then the most important bill that my National General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee has said is that the people in power, the union government, should pass a bill that if somebody is convicted after an investigation is found with enough evidence that he is convicted of rape and murder, there should be a fast track court and the culprit should be hanged by the gallows.
Let Mamata
We
Banerjee
want
resign
justice
first.
for the victim and we want exemplary
Okay.
punishment
Mamata Banerjee
for
has
the
failed as the chief
guilty.
minister.
But
Mamata
by the
Banerjee has
stupid
failed
Okay.
logic
as
of
the home
Sanju
minister.
Verma, by the stupid logic of Sanju Verma,
Okay,
Mamata
no,
Banerjee
I have to wrap up. I have to wrap up. I have to wrap up.
Mamata
Riju Datta,
Banerjee
Sanju Verma. We'll leave it at that. I do want to underline this point that this case has once again woken up our collective in a perhaps way that did more than 10 years ago. My fear is, and this has happened far too often in the past, my fear is that once the news cycle moves on beyond this case, beyond this news story to the next news story, and people have shifted their attention, shifted the focus away, and the protesting doctors go back home or go back to their workplaces, that will make us complacent again for the next crime to happen, for the next rape and next, God forbid, murder to happen against a woman. We can ill afford that in this day and age in this country. And for that, if that means exemplary punishment, if that means fast track, if it means the law, it needs to be done forthwith. Let's now shift focus. We're all counting down to the big decision, the verdict by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS. The Olympics has come to a close, but we're all awaiting the Court of Arbitration for Sport's decision from the 50 kg freestyle wrestling gold medal match, because on the morning of the match, she was overweight by 100 grams. Vinesh had taken the wrestling world by storm when she beat world number one Saki Olympic. That was in her opener game at the Paris Olympics, and then she subsequently defeated two other opponents to enter the finals of the 50 kg weight category. The heartbreak prompted her to announce her retirement from wrestling, because on the morning of the final, under the kg barrier or threshold, she weighed 50 kgs and 100 grams more. The legal team from India has argued that weight gain was because of the body's natural recovery process. They've argued that her body weight was under the prescribed limit on the first day of the competition, which is the day that she defeated the world champion, the Olympic champion, the European champion, and the Pan American champion, and then went on to earn her place in the final. That happened on day one, and the weight gain happened because of natural recovery, not any kind of fraud, and the weight gain by a marginal 100 grams happened on day two. If the decision comes in Vinesh's favor, all right, I believe it's been deferred now further to the 16th of August. The Court of Arbitration for Sport will lead on Independence Day. We don't know the reason for why it has been deferred again. Remember, it was supposed to come last Saturday on the 11th of August before the closing ceremony of the Paris Games, but then that got postponed to the 13th, which is today. It has been further deferred to the 16th of August. Ananya Bhatnagar has more details. Ananya, any information on why this verdict has been delayed again, this would be the second time it's been pushed back.
Well, definitely, Zaka, it has been pushed back another time. It is 16 time Indian standard that this verdict will now be pronounced. Remember that the verdict had to be pronounced originally on August 10th, but what had happened was till August 11, the deadline was increased to actually file certain written documents by both the sides, by the Indian Olympic Association and also World Federation. Just an initial information. As per our experience, we can say that this is something that the judge might need some time to consider these new documents that had been submitted, in fact, by both these sides, and hence this time has been extended to August 16, 6 p.m. or Paris time and 9:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. But Zaga, the Indian contingent had very well argued. Mr. Salve and Vidushpat Singhania, who appeared for, in fact, the Indian Olympic Association, categorically stated that it is every athlete's fundamental right to actually replenish their body post a very, very boutful day. They had Vinesh had a lot of bouts that day, and post that she had a right to actually replenish her body. This is nothing that can be addressed to artificial substance being used, or this is not a case of doping.
Okay.
It is a clear case where athlete used her fundamental right to replenish her body, and hence this 100-gram increase was actually there, and that should be ignored, is what in fact the Indian Olympic Association has argued in court.
He's also joining us. So this must be further sort of heartache for Vinesh and her fans. We were supposed to get the verdict first on the 11th, then again on the 13th, which is today, and then now it's been pushed back by a couple of more days. Do we have any information as to why this delay, why this pushing back?
I've seen one of the in question, why is this delay? Because this is the second such delay that has come to light, and the lawyers are flummoxed themselves. They don't really know exactly why. We do know that last extension was given maybe that in a situation. What we have received from the IOA is that the CAS ad hoc division president has allowed Dr. Annabel Bennett, sole arbiter in the Vinesh Phogat versus UWW and the IOC matter, in an extension till 6 p.m. Paris time on Friday, August 16. And therefore, the press conference that was scheduled by the IOA president, the question now is that nobody can say whether this is good or bad as far as Vinesh's case is concerned, and it would possibly be futile to even attempt to decipher delay of this kind as to whether it strengthens or weakens her case.
Ananya, so the UWW president had made a blanket statement saying that the rule book is the rule book and rules are rules. It's very unfortunate. It is very gut-wrenching that it happened to Vinesh in the manner in which it did. What was the case presented by her lawyers against that? Because you have a set of rules which have been agreed by all wrestling federations, which is monitored by the United World Wrestling. How can they come across as making an exception for one wrestler?
Well, definitely, countering that submission, the Indian Olympic Association had argued with regards to a fundamental right of a wrestler, and that is something that is said to be.
हमें उम्मीद है वो फैसला हमारे हक में आएगा और अब सारे भारतवासी से खुश होंगे, और जो विनेश यहाँ आएगी तो हम जो स्वागत होता है वह उससे स्वागत करेंगे। यही
बार बार जो फैसला टल रहा है, इससे बार बार फैसला टल रहा है, 11, 13 और अब देखिए 16 होने वाला है, इससे मनोबल कहीं टूट तो नहीं रहा है? क्या फैसला अपने हक में नहीं आएगा?
देखिए, जो फैसला बार बार टल रहा है, इससे कुछ उम्मीद भी जग रही है और कुछ परेशानियां भी हो रही। क्यों एक बार इंतजार करते हैं, जो इंतजार बहुत कठिन काम होता है, इंतजार जो घड़ियाँ बहुत लंबी होती हैं, तो हमें जो इंतजार कर रहे हैं, जो हर आज जो अपने झंडे से, अपने जो मिठाइयों से, हम पटाखे से हम दोनों तैयार बैठे थे ताकि हमारे हक में फैसला आज आएगा। हम इसका कोर्ट से हमें पूरा आस उम्मीद है CS से कि जो है हमें वो दिन 16 तारीख को जो है आगे न बढ़ाकर जो हमारे हक में फैसला आने की पूरी उम्मीद है।
सर, बार बार जो डेट दी जा रही है, कहीं न कहीं आपको लगता है कि उम्मीद है या फिर बार बार क्यों टाला जा रहा है?
देखिए, जो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, जो फैसला जो आगे पोस्ट होता जा रहा है जो फैसला, तो और आस उम्मीद जगती है हमें कि भी हमारे ताकि हमारे हक में CS जो फैसला वो खुशी जो सारे भारतवासियों को जो है पूरी आस उम्मीद है मिलेगा।
इस बीच विनेश या सोमवीर राठी उनके पति या किसी और सदस्य।
So that was Mahavir Phogat, the man who coached her and the man who made her into a wrestler. Another point, and is the fact that it's further, reporters asked him, "Ye case tal gaya." You know, does that give less hope for a favorable verdict?
Well, definitely, it does not gives a low hope for the Indians because on the other side, if you see that the judge might need some time, if at all they want to tweak something with the rules, if they want to go deeper into this judgment, and if at all, this judgment has to be reserved at that point. These are by wrestling federations across the world, and if at all if there is some kind of a tweaking that needs to be done, if an exception has to be created, the judge needs to apply its mind. It has to go into a lot of verdicts and paperwork that has been filed by both these sides, and only after giving in fact a considerable view to all the documents and all the judgments that are there, then this also might result in favor of judge of a hope that comes in for the Indian wrestler who had had an exceptional performance at the Indian Olympics, because there was also an argument that was addressed by the Indian side that you've seen her performance, how she's performed in this Olympics and how she's beaten the world champions there, and that is something that should be taken into account. She had 3 bouts, I think, that day back to back, and post that if she had certain kind of a recovery, she had certain kind of meals that Skype 800 up thing argued, saying that it is not a case where it's not a case of doping where some kind of artificial substance was used. It was completely the natural recovery process of the body.
Shivani, very quickly, do we know where Vinesh is? Have people been in touch with her? What is her frame of mind? And if at all we know, what her reaction is to this case being sort of constantly being pushed back, the verdict.
Yes, so Vinesh and the IOA are very much in contact, and the two sides are space kind of a thing, joint front as far as this case is concerned, but also ensure that Vinesh also has good mental and other support while this is going on, because this can't possibly be very easy on her. So the IOA president and others have been in touch with her. A big part of the contingent of the athletes who are back in India or coming back to India are also meeting, other dignitaries in the. I think she's trying to just stay away from the media limelight and not really, go through this while being in the media. The IOA is the body that is kind of fronting it, and of course, we were hoping to hear from President the case for her. As far as the case itself is concerned, Zaka, it is of course a case that could have huge ramifications, and maybe that is why it is taking a little bit of time to justify the.
Bhatnagar, thank you very much for joining us and putting that into perspective. So, the long and agonizing wait continues for Vinesh and her legions of fans into the CAS decision as to whether she can get a shared silver along with Guzman at the Olympic Games. Break. When we back on the side, we'll national head of Hamas and also a senior Hezbollah commander, Phogat. The Middle East is now bracing itself for a possible escalation in violence between Israel and multiple retreats in Israel, ostensibly in the hands of Hezbollah from southern Lebanon. The United States is mobilizing its military assets in the region. It's moved 2 aircraft to the region now on the brink of a full-scale war.
माई भाई मैंने भी इस बार SIP करके म्यूचुअल फंड में पैसे डाले। तो मुझे ये जानना था कि KYC का चक्कर क्या है?
फंड सही तुम्हारा KYC स्टेटस रजिस्टर्ड है या वैलिडेटेड?
रजिस्टर्ड हो तो
आधार और पैन कार्ड के साथ अपना KYC वैलिडेट करो, जरूरी है और ज्यादा वक्त भी नहीं लगता।
और वैलिडेटेड तो
उतरो।
सही है।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
She's competent. She's as bad as Biden in a different. Look, she hasn't done an interview since this whole scam started. And say we do it the nice way, or we can do it the hard way.
What's happening sort of overnight is they're rewriting history and making.
She's more liberal by far than Bernie Sanders. She's a radical left lunatic.
You know, Netanyahu came to give a talk to a joint Senate and House sitting there.
Disrespectful. And I say, if you're a Jewish person or if you believe in Israel, if you're a person that, you know, is a very pro-Israel, if you vote for her, it's worth by I mean, doing this, I'm seeing reports coming that they expect an attack tonight or tomorrow from hundreds and maybe thousands of rockets.
I think it's a massive. I think we're in massive trouble. And I think really it's essential that you win for the good of the country for this election. And I mean, I'm just stating my opinion.
Like, we're having a great conversation right now. Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not smart. You know, she's not a smart person, by the way. She can't have this conversation.
This is a really big point. You can actually have a conversation with you.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
And you can't have a conversation with Biden or Kamala. It's like it's not possible.
That's true.
Middle East is bracing itself for a possible escalation in violence between Iran and Israel. The United States continued its military buildup in the region, dispatching the guided missile submarine Georgia and the aircraft carrier USS Lincoln into the volatile waters of the Middle East. Iran and its most powerful regional proxy Hezbollah in Lebanon have vowed to retaliate, killing Hania was killed a couple of weeks ago in an explosion in Tehran. This was just hours after another assassination, that of a senior Hezbollah commander, Fuad Shukr, in Israeli airstrike. Iran has blamed Israel for the death of Hania, who was in Iran to attend the inauguration of its new president. Israel has neither confirmed nor denied behind the attack, although have privately confirmed that Israel was indeed behind the attack on Hania. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has promised to delay for the happen on Iranian soil. Netanyahu in turn has vowed to exact a heavy price for any act of aggression against Israel from whichever quarter. At a news conference clearly intended to reassure a jittery Israeli public, the chief spokesperson for the Israeli military, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, had said that Israel was prepared at peak and according to the directives of the government. On Monday, John Kirby, who's a national security spokesman at the White House, told reporters that President Biden had spoken to European leaders about the tensions escalating in the Middle East. Kirby also said that the United States agreed with Israel's assessment that an attack by Iran and its proxies could happen as soon as this week.
We do share the assessment made by our Israeli counterparts that that something could happen as soon as this week by Iran and its proxies. And just to be crystal clear, in case anybody's going back on my language here, that is a U.S. assessment as well as an Israeli assessment. Our assessment matches the Israeli assessment.
Israel is observing a Jewish holiday this week, and it suspects that Iran will time its attack accordingly. Iran cannot afford to be seen as not avenging the death of a man who at that time was a visiting state guest. The fact that this happened at a secure Iranian state safe house makes it even more complicated. The White House still expected Gaza ceasefire talks to resume on Thursday, though if Iran were to attack in the interim between now and the end of the week, it could completely derail the plans of any ceasefire. Biden, along with leaders of Egypt, Qatar, and other countries, had said last week that they were prepared to present a final proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza. They've scheduled a meeting for this Thursday. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is also in the Middle East this week. He's expected to visit Qatar, Egypt, and Israel in a bid to shore up the ceasefire talks. On Monday, the White House released a joint statement from Biden and leaders of Britain, France, Germany, and Italy endorsing the effort to broker a ceasefire. The statement went on to say there is no further time to lose.
We believe that there has been headway made, but we need to finalize this agreement, continue to close and bridge some gaps. But we believe that an agreement is possible, and that's something that we're going to continue to work between the parties.
The leaders also called on Iran to stand down its ongoing threats. Officials are fanning out across the Middle East this week to make a full-court press to try and nail down a final ceasefire in Gaza. Their hope is once the ceasefire is announced, then it becomes increasingly difficult for Iran to carry out an attack on Israel, either directly or through one of its regional proxies. Among other officials who are being dispatched by the Biden White House include William Burns, the CIA director. He's traveling to Qatar. Brett McGurk, Biden's Middle East coordinator, who's headed to Egypt, and Israel sending a negotiating team to attend the ceasefire meeting, which is expected to take place either in Cairo or in Doha. It was unclear yet whether Hamas would take part in the talks. In a statement put out Sunday, Hamas suggested it was not interested in how a ceasefire will play out. There is also pressure on Hamas after the assassination of its political leader Ismail Haniyeh not to be seen as supportive of a ceasefire. In the absence of a truce, the Israeli military pressed ahead with its offensive over the in western Gaza. This was in preparation to attack what it said was an embedded terrorist infrastructure. Israel's military said it was urging civilians to move to other areas in Gaza which are safe. But in Gaza, no place is safe, and even the areas designated by the Israeli military as humanitarian zones are considered unsafe. Facing international condemnation for an airstrike that happened over this past weekend on a school compound, which was allegedly used to shelter Palestinian militants in northern Gaza, Israel put out a statement saying that the strike had killed 31 militants.
Presented by R. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a different.
Yeah.
Look, she hasn't done an interview since this whole. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice way or we can do it the hard way.
What's happening sort of overnight is they're rewriting history and making Kamala sound like a moderate when in fact she is far left, like far left.
Worse than Bernie Sanders. She is considered more liberal by far than Bernie Sanders. She's a radical left lunatic.
You know, Netanyahu came to give a talk to a joint Senate and House, and Kamala.
It's really disrespectful. And I say, if you're a Jewish person or if you believe in Israel, if you're a person that, you know, is a very pro-Israel, if you vote for her, it's worse than Biden, and Biden was bad. But if you vote for her, you ought to have your head examined. And you see tonight, I mean, as we're doing this, I'm seeing reports coming that they expect an attack tonight or tomorrow from hundreds and maybe thousands of rockets.
I think it's a massive. I think we're in trouble. In that honest opinion, and I think really it's essential that you win for the good of the country for this election. And I mean I'm just stating my opinion.
Like we're having a great conversation right now. Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not smart. You know, she's not a smart person, by the way. She can't have this conversation.
This is a really big point. You can actually have a conversation with you.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
And you can't have a conversation with Biden or Kamala. It's like it's not possible.
That's true.
Hello, namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. They lead a temple today to reassure Hindus in the country. But is that enough? What is the status of minorities in Bangladesh? Also, what's the deal with Sheikh Hasina? No word on her asylum as protesters in Dhaka say she should be brought back. A new case has been filed against her. Meanwhile, in West Asia, the US is sending more military assets, warships and submarines amid reports that Iran may strike. The US must include Trump, the highlights, tech glitches, bromance, bizarre statements, and an unmistakable lisp. In Pakistan, a former ISI chief has been arrested, ostensibly for corruption, but dig deeper and you'd find a power struggle linked to Imran Khan. In India, doctors go on strike to demand better working conditions after a young doctor was raped and murdered in Kolkata. We're also talking about the future of jobs on the show, with 50-year low. Why Africa doesn't have a seat at the United Nations high table, why Serbians are protesting against lithium mining, how the humble makhana became a global superfood, and why Indians online can't stop talking about August 16. That is the joke of the day. The headlines first. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas meets President Putin in Moscow. Putin reiterates his support for a Palestinian state, says it is the only way to achieve peace in West Asia. Since Russia invaded Ukraine, Putin has moved closer to Israel's foes, Hamas and Iran. Fitch downgrades Israel, citing the war in Gaza. The US credit rating agency lowered Israel's rating from A+ to A. It has warned that the conflict could last well into 2025 and impact economic activity. In February, Moody's gave Israel its first ever credit rating downgrade. Taliban forces in Pakistan at their northern border. 3 Afghan civilians killed near the Toram border crossing. The Taliban seized power in 2021 and since then border tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan have escalated. China's foreign minister to hold talks with Myanmar's junta chief, Wang Yi, will begin his visit to the embattled country tomorrow. The junta has been battling ethnic armed groups along the border with China. The Chinese diplomat will not be meeting detained democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi. And to detect prevent any infestation as athletes return from the Olympics. Last year, Paris struggled with a bedbug outbreak. South Korea had been largely free of bedbugs for years.